then took the Dark Willow. Totally respecting Pablo. The Morphling, I think Morphling is insanely broken right now. The Morph ability has so much utility. The only issue is that Morphling, with the weak stat gain at level 1 and usually morphing agility, has really low strength and can be bullied earlier. So laning is really Oracle on the final tribe. That's new, right? That's like
it is.
That also sets up for like Huskar possibilities, or another combination people used to like was Alchemist. Not so much these days. Death Prophet, but generally people pick Oracle when there's something they're looking to go to. Elder Titan, that's a really good hero against Morphling. It used to be unplayable because of the old aura where it would reduce the magic resistance and the base armor. And against agility heroes, a lot of times you could pretty much make your damage pure against them. But now the spirit will only reduce the magic resistance, so not that big of a deal these days. Underlord's gonna be problematic for Morphling in lane, I believe, just because the percentage on the Firestorm into Morphling usually wanting to morph down strength into agility, so it will actually do a pretty significant amount of damage to him, and just a really robust hero in general. There's that Lina. I do like Lina against Morphling, but I think Morphling is so Lincoln's, and I'm trying to just blaze through this because the draft's going by really quickly, and we came in kind of towards the end of it. But the Tuskar, really great support hero right now. Lifestealer. So it seems like this Morphling is going to be mid lane, and it doesn't really surprise me because it's Nisha. Nisha will probably be playing the safe lane Lifestealer. I like that a lot more. I said Morphling might have a little bit of issues versus the Underlord, but the Lifestealer definitely can lane versus Underlord quite effectively, just using the Feast, burning through his massive HP pool, and then with the Tusk, it's a kind of okay lane. Like, they should have somewhat of an advantage, but I don't think Underlord I think Underlord will still quite a bit of farm this game. Yeah, last phase.
All right, made it here. Yeah, it's obviously there was a bit of an introduction I had to do, and so kind of falling behind with the draft. But I think that recaps it pretty well what we have so far in the matchups. But yeah, really kind of going back to the beginning though. I mean, this is something because, and I was double checking on Dota buff. So within the last month, Final Tribe has actually ran Oracle 3 different games. So it's not like it's completely new for them apparently.
Okay.
And they've paired it. They haven't necessarily paired it with an obvious hero. It's been like with a Juggernaut, an OD Lifestealer, a DK OD. So it's not like it's not that Huskar cheese necessarily coming out right here.
Well, and you know, it's actually really amazing with the as well, because when you throw the false promise onto a target, and especially a hero like OD who has a blink dagger, since you're not taking damage, he can pretty much blink anytime he wants. And he's also kind of that hero where if he can just man up, build up the arcane stacks, and then throw down his ultimate, it's like, even if he dies at the end of the false promise, if he does significant damage in the fights, it could be well worth it, especially if you have another carry in your team. So I do like that OD ban. And OD is also quite good against Morphling in general. Just a lot of times you can burn through his mana pool, stealing all of his intelligence, and make it so he's not as evasive as he usually. I really do like that ban out from King, and they probably did study, like you mentioned, with the Oracle OD combination.
Yeah, what is on the line right here? You really have to figure these two teams doing the research, making sure they're absolutely prepared as much as they can be going into the series. And boy, are we having an interesting game number 1 draft. I mean, we now have a Centaur for the off lane. Centaur?
Feels like it's been so long since we.
Yeah.
I feel like only S4 plays it these days. See it sometimes. It's not completely irrelevant, but not really the strongest player. A lot of people in the past used to run Lifestealer and Centaur, but obviously they do have it. Juggernaut is also another good option into the Centaur. Other than that, like, I think they will have issues dealing with the Morph. So they're gonna need to find a balance between being able to lane into the Centaur, but also be on par with the Morphling in terms of carry potential. Like I said, I think Morphling's really and the best way to deal with him would probably be shutting him down lane, then also having a timing that kind of abuses the point where he doesn't have E-Blade, because Linken's plus E-Blade is a massive investment of gold, and it does take quite a long time, so there is a little bit of a window. So they can either try to go for a hero that will be a little bit faster paced, or a hero that will match the more...
Juggernaut. Oh, someone guessed. Whoa. Clark. This draft, man.
I don't know if Slark is great for Centaur and lane, number one, but also Slark is gonna farm significantly slower than the Morphling. I do think it's okay matchup, but we said the same thing when Alliance picked it up. The Slark, you know, had the same issues where like had a weaker lane, couldn't keep up, and then just eventually lost in that way. But it is Frost, so we know he's a really capable farmer. For me, like Nisha is definitely going to be mid with this Morphling, but the Lina, you know, she has tons of burst potential on the Morphling, and his low HP pool at the start, that's kind of worrisome. So I feel like they're going to put a lot of emphasis on the lane, the supports. But yeah, right now I think I like Team Kinguin's draft more.
Slark, it's funny because I don't know if you were casting me in that series, but it was an Alliance, I want to say. We saw Loda play it. It was for the GESC qualifiers, if I'm not mistaken. So, fairly recently here, qualifiers going on. And it was one of those cases, like on paper, it kind of made sense, but as we stated from the very beginning of that game, it's like, there's a reason we're not seeing Slark really at all in the competitive scene right now. And it fell flat, it felt like, especially when it comes to his farming potential, like you're kind of talking about there, really trying to keep up. He needs a good start, especially get that early Shadow Blade, maybe set up some hero kills to really feed off of that. But so it's a bit of a risky pick, but you know, with the way these teams both drafted right here, we've watched both of these teams a fair amount of times recently, and there's like 4 heroes in this game that we did not see on these two teams. And here we are, you know, running it in game 1 of this best of 2 with a super major on the line. So yeah, clearly they're comfortable with the idea. Something tells me, you know, they go into a series like this where they're like, let's think about picking up said hero. So do you maybe think that's part of the Slark idea, and that's just Frost comfort factor, or is there a reason why they felt like they needed to pick it here?
Well, there's one more thing to talk about when it comes down to the Slark. It's the Oracle pick. When you throw the False Promise on top of Slark, and if he gets in trouble, he casts a Shadow Dance a lot of times, you're gonna heal pretty much to full every single time. So the synergy is really nice there. It does enable Slark in a lot of ways. Like compared to the game Loda played, I think he didn't really have much support. He was kind of expected to do his own thing. Nice shard block.
Low stomp though, it will hit all 3. Whoa. And the shards are going to wear off any second. In fact, he's manning up right here. Slark is going to pick up the Bounty Rune. Exotic Deer's at half-life. So that was actually a pretty good hold. He got popped with the fact he was able to get a stun off on all 3 here. And follow-up damage meant he's fine, so dead. They'll pick up the Bounty Rune, and it ends up being a 3-for-1 Bounty Rune, though Patos did get both Bounty Runes. Actually, at the bottom lane, Underlord able to contest.
This is an interesting choice with Centaur in a safe lane. I think Underlord wins that matchup, just because of the aura, the melee range, the Firestorm. He has more base damage as well. I think Centaur would have been completely fine top, and their lane's not too strong with this. They want to secure him that game.
Well, if there's been something watching this European Dota lately, it's been that pretty much guarantee we're going to see a trial lane. Every single game, it feels like. And
yeah,
we see that here once again, Tri versus trial lane. A bit of action, but nobody dying right there. But yeah, they're just ready to clash, man. The wands have been picked up, and they're going to be going at it here. Top lane.
It is true, they have 3 wands, so that is an advantage.
Nisha? Nisha's dead. Yep. And actually, the Dire Courier going to... So I'm guessing that he went to dive to kill that Courier, and it put him in an awful spot. So that's a lot of golds going to Era. 483 for that kill early on in the first blood. Is that... I mean, that's not worth it, right? Sniping the Courier?
But he's actually going to get killed? Okay, no. I actually don't think it's worth it in this matchup because... Oh, yeah, just like that. The Lina doesn't have an issue. Doesn't need to really use the chicken too much. Like, she has the burst and the lane match advantage. It's just like... I think that was a little bit too risky to go for that. Lina should be fine.
Well, now she's definitely fine. That's the 2-0 as far as the start goes. And on top of that, Nisha has to walk back now. Just TP. Meanwhile, back to the top lane, Frost. He's got the pounce leash on Elisa. He's pretty committed. There's a stomp, though. They kill Tusk, and Exotic Deer cannot run down Slark as a result. So DFT has all the momentum early on here in game number 1 with the start of Era mid. And now the top lane even picking up a kill. You also look at the CS chart, looking pretty damn good. I know we're only 2 minutes in at this point, but again, the final tries feeling cozy. Elder Titan, his TP is going to be stopped, but that was just a TP simply trying to get away from danger now. Curse Crown will allow Tusk and Dark Willow to finish the job. Frost trying to go for the turn kill, leads on the Katsor. Only so much damage he can do by himself currently, and Katsor will be able to walk it off, but the clashes continue. Now we see the, what is that called again? Fortune's End, there we go, coming out from Oracle. Now Lisa just going to snowball it off though, so we'll just pick up the casual bounty for me. We're definitely going to have action at the top lane. Ooh, middle, wow, yeah, again.
Yeah, DD on Nisha, and he's also morphing a little bit more strength as well, because he knows he can't sit at 400 HP against the lean, especially going into level 5. But yeah, I mean, throughout the entire laning stage as well, just going to level 6 on lean is a massive threat, especially with any type of rotation.
So we talked about Centaur a little bit, or you were mentioning you think he could have been fine at the top lane, but they choose to send him bottom to do a safe lane 1v1 against Jonasafan. Right now he's 11-1 against Underlord, who's 19-4. So, yeah, what do you make of this bottom lane? How it's going?
This is pretty much expected. Lower base damage, Atrophy Aura on top, Firestorm harassment. Centaur doesn't really want to be using double edge in this lane, but getting the level 6 levels are usually the most important thing for Centaur. So if they do get the Stampede up, I think he won't have a hard time getting back into this. Like, he's gonna do fine either way. Just that the Underlord will get a lot.
Get wave forming in, but I know this hero lives life on the edge a lot because of the shifting and everything, but every time I see a Morphling that low, it worries me a little bit. And we saw earlier in the game with that second kill especially, he thought he was safe, and then all of a sudden the Dragonflame came. Dragonflame, excuse me. Dying as a result. Careful with that shift there, but again, Era continues to be fairly comfortable. Now, CS-wise, Morphling is actually doing pretty good. 16-6 compared to a 14-11.
Yeah.
She almost is level 6, and you talked about how important that's going to be.
I think a lot of it had to do with, well, he had a DD, but also, even if you die, you come back with full regen, and then it's like, the Lina with the Courier being dead wasn't able to bring out more clarities to get that mana back up, so he did have kind of an opportunity. It's also interesting to note that Nisha actually bought his own Sentry Ward, so that's an 100 gold investment from him, and I don't even think he's going to catch the mid ward unless he saw the plant from Lina.
Yeah, that's a case of, like, he must be confident that he knows where it is, right? And again, he goes down. I went away for a split second of the top lane.
It was not special. It was just one Dragon Slave. It actually looked so casual. This Dragon Slaved over the top and instantly died.
That's what I'm talking about with this hero, man. Morphling. I get scared every time I watch this hero for his life, because they like to sit on low life with a shift, but now Laguna Blade is ready for Era, so again, Nisha, just how aggressive he's playing. So yeah, he knew where the ward was. That's what I was getting at. It's like, you invested 100 gold, you better be getting it back. That was right there at least. But yeah, he's already got 3 deaths. Now, I do look at the CS though, and he still is winning the CS despite being 0-3. So is there some hope for Morphling still? Oh boy.
Well,
that just happened.
I mean, you also need to look at the net worth. Like, the CS doesn't really tell the story.
Top lane, nothing going at it. They sure are. Pablo's running back in. Jar's blocking out Pablo's path for an escape. The snowball in. Pablo very likely going to be picked off. Frost trying to get some immediate revenge for his teammate. He'll pounce away. Reliance in that he can't go offensive enough, so getting the kill onto Elder Titan again at the top. And those are the 2 kills so far for Kinguin, but 4 of the kills for TFT have been on this Morphling. Yeah,
just quickly check out the net worth. The Morphling is actually below Katsor on the Dark Willow. The CS doesn't really make that big of a difference. The Lina's popping the net worth pretty well off for herself. They did scout her getting the Invis rune. The Centaur, you know, he's going Helmet Dominator, so he's so much regen. This item's completely broken. I would expect it to be changed as well, a little bit. The regeneration is just absurd. The stats as well, but lane there seems.
Yeah. Well, they're setting up, aren't they? Again, he's just Laguna Blade. I mean, he doesn't have mana for it, so it's just like you can get that mana and then burst him down. Oh boy, Nisha, he's fine, I guess. Said that several times, and he's But yeah, Helmet of the Dominator, go back to that real quick. I 100% agree. It's kind of interesting to see over time how that item also has been changed. It really has been changed constantly, and it's still like, it's been both pretty weak considered, but then it's also been at this scale, like, where it's actually just OP, and we see it on multiple heroes every single game, it feels like. And I remember when it first was changed in 7.0, like, that was the case, and they had to keep nerfing it before we just stopped seeing it again. So it does feel like a tough item now. Top lane, by the way, Snowball in. Dark, Bramble, that's a lot of stuff to get around. Frost, he is not level 6 yet, so no Shadow Dance going to be coming out. He does have that Dark Pact. He needs to use it here. Yeah, and actually, the immune going to come out of Magic from Oracle. Beats Edict, keeping him alive as well. So well played by Hanskin especially to help out with the teammate right there.
Dire's top tower
Yeah, well played. Era has been camping this bottom lane for a long time, and they kind of know that he hasn't shown his Apocalypse actually goes down to this gang.
Yep.
Okay, so his patience pays off. He was sitting on the sidelines for about, waiting for the upper.
Hanskin again. Fate's Edict is up. Wears off there though. Does have that Fortune Snag. Gonna use it, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. Frost is able to get the turn kill on Dark Willow, but they do take out Oracle. Lisa away to the Essence shift adding up. Pops the raid from Exotic Deer, but Mark definitely can man up, it feels like, to an extent. Back, but the action continues at the top lane, and CS-wise, I mean, it actually is being won by Lifestealer, especially with the overall net worth too. He is ahead of that Slark currently.
Yeah, that's to be expected. The Slark doesn't really offer much fighting, and Elder Titan's not comfortable running into a Lifestealer. Generally, he can just run in and punch, but because Lifestealer does so much upfront damage with the Feast and the open wounds being able to catch him out if he overcommit, he has to play a little bit more back. So they definitely have the advantage in the lane.
With how much fighting's going on, is there any argument to be made that maybe the Armlet build on Lifestealer could be the choice, or he has Radiance already queued up? Is it just an obvious Radiance?
I just love that build in general. Compared to like the effectiveness,
I don't know why I looked away.
This wasn't even.
I was literally looking at it too, and then I went away for another split second. It just happens every time I jump away.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle
I mean,
tower
whenever someone goes to Armlet build, it just feels significantly weaker, the Radiance. And a lot of times they even go Armlet back into Radiance, so it's kind of like, if you have this good start, you might as well just go for it.
He definitely does. Gold saved up. So as embarrassing as Morphling is, unfortunately, this game, it's Lifestealer is having that great start, and no doubt going to be leaning on him for success. Lena pick up the illusion. Renisha was heading over, but realizing quickly can't do that, and actually will need to be careful once again. And roaming in, cannot get there in time to make a play. I feel like these two beefy targets at the bottom lane have been going at it for this whole game, right? They haven't even adjusted yet. Underlord or Centaur. Is there a point where they should be? I mean, we're 10.5 minutes in yet. They haven't left the lane. Is that an issue?
Not really in the setup. The Centaur is pretty much the only person who wants to sit here. He wants to farm up his Blink Dagger so he can actually make moves that are a lot more reliable and consistent. The Underlord, I feel, is getting more out of the situation because he's building the team items, and that's one advantage they will have in the fight. Stampede goes off for mid lane.
Oh, he takes out Lena. Great morph right there. Uses the nuke and gets the kill. So Renisha's laughing about that one. Great teammate support as well, but that's gotta feel good if you're morph. Now, unfortunately, Elisa took the kill, so he'll get that 500 plus bounty. But still, that's a necessary kill coming out from Kinguin. And yeah, well played by the morphling. We see that morph effect coming into play early.
Yeah, that skill is just. Rubik's so jealous. Every Rubik player out there is really jealous of this ability. It's like, I don't understand how a carry hero can also be like the best support hero as well. And the fact that there's so many broken interactions with it, like Black Cannon,
the
like,
tree from Tiny.
Tree, yeah, exactly. I mean, all those things just, Morphling really doesn't need that help. Like I said, his only problem is the laning phase, and throwing it into Alina knowing that that matchup is going to be quite hard, that was kind of a bold decision. Generally, people emphasize the Morphling quite a bit, like with the boards, with the lane, everything.
Money to burn.
Nisha middle lane. Obviously, his build is just going plenty of build up here as far as his items go. 1, Ring of Acula, Power Treads. This your typical Lincoln's in an F-play game, or is there a different route maybe?
Radiant's bottom tower is under
I think Lincoln's will be quite necessary, especially since you can anticipate a Yule's coming out for the Lina. Otherwise, you're always going to have to be worried about that. Lincoln's just provides the best stats and really increases your farm speed and just how comfortable you feel farming waves out. Another thing I want to talk about is Underlord. I think the Underlord should go back into the Helmet Dominator. Usually you see that first. Looks like Oracle's just going to go down as well. Did he take enough damage? I wasn't watching.
He has. Oh, well, okay, not initially, but it is a kill in the end. Yeah, that's a little surprising to me, even if you don't know. Anyways, he goes down.
Yeah, so the Helmet Dominator, in my opinion, is like mainly core. On the Underlord, they did miss a couple spells on water. It was a hard play. Just having the ability to control where you will Dark Rift is a significant advantage. Just even being able to Dark, like, let's say that they're bottom right now with the Helmet Dominator, they can send it all the way across the map to the top side and then catch a hero off guard, or even take a team fight where they have the numbers advantage because of it. It's such a strong utility, and I would just really love to see that, but yeah, it seems like he's just going to go for the Greave.
Elder Titan just going to walk away for now, but yeah, the Greaves really not an item we actually see right now a lot on a competitive scene. You know, we got this Underlord like a Darkseer occasionally, your usual kind of mech building, but I think a lot of that is the mech itself, right? Mech isn't really considered the strongest item right now.
A lot of players are like, why get mech if you can just get Helmet Dominator? It heals your team a lot more consistently. It's pretty much a better item in every utility, the gold cost, everything. Almost no reason to ever build mech unless you want to finish up the Greaves, and normally the only justification for Greaves in general is just if you need to remove that crucial silence or some kind of, like, you can actually dispel something with it.
And I'm trying to think, like, is there really that? I mean, does it get rid of, like, the Bramble stun, I guess? I don't know. Or maybe you can't use it while terrorizing, right? It's just kill.
No, yeah. Can't be good for terrorize.
Oracle? Oh, wow, that's a big burst to Tusk right there, but this is the best play in the end. Oracle, Fate's Edict will keep him alive despite actually the false promise more so keeping him alive. Nisha did take over the Lina, as we saw right there, and they finish off Oracle in the midst of it. Dark Rift out, and it ends up being a 1-for-1 after all that action took place. So, bit of a clash there. Only support's going down, though. You see Slark, meanwhile, farming away, and we haven't really touched on Frost yet, but it actually has a Shadow Blade.
Shadow Blade. That's a really good timing for being aggro tri-lane, so definitely gonna have a game. We don't have to worry about him being underfarmed or not being able to participate or control. A good look for him.
Got in the creep wave at the top lane. They want to get this top tier 1 Dark Willow in the air ice. In the air,
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Thinking of using that terrorize, perhaps. Centaur, he does not have a stampede. He used that last fight. Still working on that blink. He actually went the Hood of Defiance, though. Of course, naturally, just a great item on him, especially with that double edge.
Totally. And it's going to be great against our heroes. Lots of magic damage. I mean, perfect for that hero to be tanky. Underlord did go back for Crimson Guard, but I'm still curious. Like, I mean, Crimson Guard gives you really nice mitigation yourself, but the utility of the Crimson itself not really going to play a factor for a while.
Elisa walking away, or trying to. He's got a snowball. Probably just delay the inevitable if he even gets it off, which he won't, so he goes down Slark. Now here's Morphling. Morphling was not ready for this. Gets the shift off. So he's surviving for now. Can they stop the TP? They cannot. Stop her at that point, so good decision by Nietzsche there to just commute. Good counter to a Slark, of course, especially in his case. How is that Radiance coming along for Lifestead? Like, yeah, he has a Sacred Roll. Like, he just about has the Radiance. You'd figure it's going to be some bit of timing here for Kinguin, maybe get that Radiance, and I guess the Blink on Centaur is probably key as well, which he actually is about to pick up. So this is seems like a key time in the next minute here for Kinguin.
Oh yeah, when those two items pair up, you should definitely expect a smoke. Hopefully they land it nearby an objective so that they're able to convert into a little bit more map control. But that will be an excellent timing for them, and I definitely would expect that to move to happen here.
Cool. front here somewhat. He's promised worst case if he does get caught, but
Radiant's bottom tower is under
tanky his
attack.
target. Elisa
Radiant's
setting up at the bottom lane.
fortified.
TPs happen right now. Fortification being used. That's his own. Nope. Now they definitely know he's here though, but Era doesn't really care. Siege creep. A little bit of damage now. Not nearly enough to be that intimidating. Meanwhile, Stampede activated. They're looking to go in. There's that blink debut. They catch Oracle. Can he get the false promise off in time? Yes, oh, he's gonna survive. There's the false promise. He'll stay alive for the time being. Out comes the Earth Splitter as well. But a great stop on top of that on a Morphling. Tusk falls. Era, he's not the most life to work with. Gonna get force out for something. Yoda Span trying to port him out with the Dark Rift. There's the Yules into the Dark Rift. Yes, it's gonna get them out. Hanskin will not get caught in it, but he's just gonna walk it off, and Frost also somehow escapes. They kill Blanchler in the midst of that. Wow, what a getaway. Great job dodging as well as much as he did on Era right there.
That was really great play by Era. He actually dodged a lot of the spells. The Morphling took over the Lina itself, so he had more than enough burst in that position. Just timing it perfectly so that he dodged just the right amount of damage, and then the nice Underlord Rift coming out. Really, really, really well played.
That Lincoln's just about finished for Morphling, or well, getting there. It's not just. He is starting to farm up quite a bit now, and be a bit of so. But yeah, Era staying alive. He's actually gonna go Forest Staff after the Yule. So yeah, interesting choice really.
Us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also really quite good against for your team as well. Just the utility. Maybe he feels like that's a lot more important. I personally still like the Shadow Blade, but neither here nor there. I think what's really important for the final tribe now is that they look to take Roshan while the Morphling is not online. We talked about this Lincoln Sphere taking so long to build up into the next item, the Ethereal Blade. Firestorm with Underlord takes Roshan extremely quickly. Getting an Aegis on top of the Sork or the Lina could be a massive advantage in fights.
Underlord, he hasn't died yet. That could be changing. He's a tanky target, but it's a lot running at him. He is going to fall. Couldn't even activate the 5 for the 1 in time. Just too much lockdown up front damage. Well played right there by King. Definitely a hefty target to kill. So Cathari will take the bounty, but great kill for Kinguin. You see TFT trying to capitalize elsewhere. Maybe push off on him. Maybe catch Centaur, but he's got the Head of Defiance. TP hero himself. The Echo Stomp will connect, but with TP's coming in, where they're going to. Clark, meanwhile, elsewhere, and going an item that we do not see often in the Echo Saber follow-up.
I always liked Echo Saber. I felt like this item was really good on Sork when it just makes a lot of sense for building up the stat. I think with Oracle on top, which he should be, realistically, he should be the false promise target every single fight, and that's absolutely critical to save someone else. And he'll be able to just lay in with these hits. Gonna make him a massive threat. I think that even if he goes, you know, if he gets super low with the false promise on top, he'll regen all the way up back to full. If he amasses a huge stack, he's just gonna destroy the enemy team.
And speaking of that, kind of just hit me too in that last fight. The fact that Oracle nearly died at the beginning of it. He got the false promise off, and he managed to just heal back up and stay alive throughout the whole fight in the end too. So yeah, that hero really, we do not see it right now at all in the competitive seed. If anything, maybe paired up for that cheat strategy like you're talking about, but picked up here by TFT as just a solid support option, and Onskin Devil making it work.
But I really like Oracle a lot as a hero. I think that Oracle will be picked up more in the tournaments to come. It's in a really good spot right now. Laning is just really good. The utility is really good as well for the meta, and lots of healing coming out. So just a little bit of an underrated hero, but I definitely like this move from Final Tribe. This is exactly what they needed to do at this point in the game. There's no way that Morphling wants to fight into that. He's actually going for a Manta style. I'm not sure if I agree with that choice. I guess he feels that he's too countered by the Oracle, because you do have to account for the fact that Fate's Edict will reduce the magic damage by 100%, so if he does see the E-Blade come out and the projectile is pretty apparent, Hanskin should be able to mitigate a lot of that damage. He might not just waste his burst combo and not be able to do any actual physical damage in the fights otherwise.
That's a good point actually, yeah, so kind of forcing him to change, and maybe one of the reasons why they went the Oracle, because again, they did, I'm trying to think, was it the Oracle after the Oracle? No, it was the Oracle first, I guess.
No.
Anyways, Centaur gonna get the stomp off, but Slark's nearby. He did not realize that. Terrorize coming out, and will stop the eventual kill, but... Oh, the fear away! No, he got away! And he actually ports out from Frost! Oh, this is a disaster now for TFT! That Terrorize doing so much work. Can Oracle maybe get in here somehow? No, he cannot. Frost is dead. Pablo will hit a stomp eventually, but what a game from Kinguin. What a kill. You guys are laughing his head off. Understandably, a big play on his part. You see Underlord is going to walk it off meanwhile, but yeah, without Slark for 35 seconds, Kinguin definitely wants to make a play here, and that was an Aegis on top of that.
It was incredibly forced. I mean, the positioning, you're at their tier 2, your allies are, you know, the Lino's farming bottom. I think Elder Titan was off to the side as well. Like, everyone wasn't really prepared for that fight. It's such an easy location to TP into, even if Kinguin wasn't separated. Now, it's really questionable, but a really great terrorize. That's something that I guess people don't really think about in that matchup, but it's there's definitely a lot of utility there. You can split the Underlord and make sure that maybe 1 or 2 people get left behind. That can be actually troublesome.
That's true, but you know, I think he hit both, but it was more so either it got, I don't know if it was a Dark Pack Purge off or something, or he just got hit in the Bramble Maze and that kept him in place actually.
Yeah.
Where Underlord was not kept in place. So yeah, I know people will look at that and be like, oh, Underlord, what a bad play. No, that was a great play by Dark Willow, especially on the other side of it. But you are right too. It's definitely something to look out for now, moving forward with the Dark Rift and that Terrorize. Can be terrorizing. Lifestealer, Solar's Crest follow up. Gonna go into an SNY next, so pretty standard stuff here for me.
Alright. Nisha has Eagle Song queued up, so going back to the E-Blade, I definitely think that's a lot better, just because I don't see Manta style being all that effective. I mean, you actually have pretty much the similar DPS in terms of right click with Eagle Song itself, and there's nothing to remove, Manta especially, so I didn't really see the justification like that he went back for Blade.
Playing Centaur, he's good for an opening, has plenty of support nearby, but TFT the same story now. Slark is not here. He does have a TP, but there is no tower right now. So it would take a while, and here we go, the Stampede. Han's gonna immediately put the false promise on himself, and is gonna bait out some damage, I guess. Tusk holding it. Lena gets forced tapped away, though. She's giving out the charge, blocking the wrong side, and Pablo now coming up to stop the wall, but eventually connects. But Slark, he's a hunting. He's a coming in now. The Echo Stomp on top of the Ear Splitter. Now here is Frost looking to do some damage. Great job going into the Shadow form from Dark Willow. Initially, they will catch Centaur, though, and actually Dark Willow does go down. Despite that, Hanskin's still alive throughout this. Finally falls. Well, he did his job in a lot of ways. Era is going to be picked off, though. Tusk goes down, and now it's just Exotic Deer versus the world. He's going to infest the creep. They know which one he's in. Can they do something about it's the question. Trying to deny the creep wave as much as they can. You got to make a play here if you're Exotic Deer, because that range creep is only going to last so long. It's just a matter of time. There we go. He pops out. Gonna hope for the TP out, and they do not have a stopper through the raid, so we'll play it there. My Exotic Deer actually get away. But definitely a fight going the way of TFT. Again, that false promise coming into key play for the final tribe over here.
Wasting so much time in these fights. Really quite quick reactions on that false promise. Like, it was kind of iffy to know if you wanted to do it exactly at that moment or not. But really nice play. Underlord just gonna TP out. I think they don't have enough burst here. You know, once this Slark actually gets towards the Basher, he'll actually have a lot more ways to lock down targets himself, and it seems like he has pretty free reign in terms of not being controlled in the fights, and he can kind of pick and choose where he wants to go in. So the Slark with these items look like he's actually transitioned fairly well into the...
Apparently the play was the Troll Net, suggesting Centaur. Going back to the Terrorize that feared away the Underlord. I guess that's how we got rid of in place, is actually the dominating.
What a good item.
It goes back to that, right? Yet another reason why that item
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
They're going to push the tier 1 tower in the middle lane. Should be an easy kill in the end, but TFT's not going to give it up for free by any means. In fact, they tried to deny it. Just missed time in the last dance, though.
Are fortified.
Successful for the Radiant side. You see Centaur ult has his own Crimson Guard now. See that on probably go fight. Yeah, he has that queued up now at this point, actually.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
There, but the one difference is that Helm of the Dominator compared to Underlord not having one. Although, is he getting one? No, he is going the Mech and a Guardian Greed.
Like, I almost prefer just him having a Helm of Dominator instead of Greaves because of all the utility. Even having a net into Troll or to Lifesteal Spike.
Interpret that as you will.
What it is.
Here.
I would like to see a Centaur Aghanims. Such a strong ability in the fights, and I actually think that if they can survive a lot of Lena's initiative first, kill the rest of the team, Clark is fairly easy to bring down as the last target. It's also going to provide your team with just as much mitigation as all these other items, you know, like if you have Pipe and Crimson, and Aghanims is very comparable, and then throwing it on top, a lot of active mitigation, falling out the fights.
I think honestly, a lot of it you can argue that it's a core item on it. Because of the role that he plays, especially that it just makes a lot of sense. So yeah, going the Pipe, I'm with you. I think the Ags is clear choice here. But we'll see what he decides to go.
They want Shivas. It makes sense because right now he only has about 9 armor. Not good enough really for a hero with the HP. A lot of times, you know, it's like when you have HP, you benefit a lot more from armor compared to just stacking more HP. They can just burn. It's about the same. The armor will give you quite a bit of effective HP that you don't really think about, and then throwing the regeneration on top, it's like you have a lot more HP than it seems.
So Lena, of course, we mentioned that 4 staff, you can the logic, well, I guess because of cosmic, etc. But he does, of course, turn that into a Hurricane Pike and is now working on a BKB here. It's almost level 20 as well. Gonna keep mark her as she gets her Fiery Soul talent. Come out. BKB also on Slark is being worked on, so a couple of those on the course of the Desert side at least happening shortly. So that's, as usual, pretty effective item.
Bill doesn't have Eagle Song. It's about 1,000 gold away, roughly. Normally you see Morphlings one-shotting people around the 20-minute mark. But right now, these heroes are building into BKBs, and that's 10 seconds in the fight where you can't actually target them. Use any of your abilities, which is a massive disadvantage.
Ripped in up here. There we go for Centaur, but again, that Terrorize coming into play. However, Slark is out of it quickly, but no more stopper. And Centaur just TPs out. This Terrorize pretty effectively a couple times now.
Nice positioning, Dark Willow. He knows that if he's there with the Centaur, it's a really high chance that the Centaur can get out. Otherwise, if Centaur is alone, very likely that he just gets stun-locked. So, really good positioning. Good teams generally will, or at least good core players will call for support. They kind of have their back at certain times in the game, and this was one of the spots where they really needed that.
Yeah, I see people bringing it up, guys. Really, just to clarify, it's actually maybe a fight breaking out here top lane, but this is a 2-game series technically. So this is game 1 of a 2-game series. However, if it ends up in a 1-1 split, there will be a deciding game tomorrow. So essentially, you can think of it as a best of 3 that's spread out 2 days, if you really want to put it that way. But again, I mean, personally, we were talking before, it seems a little silly when I just have them play it after. It's 3, but it's not our turn. I have it. Anyways, falling back on TFT's side, Silver Edge coming out for Slark. As far as his next choice, again, he has the BKB finish. Is there an obvious reason? I guess against Lifestealer, and actually even against Centaur, you can argue.
I think it's mostly the Centaur. I don't think you need it exactly, but the stats are always nice on Clark. There's pretty much building any stats you can on the hero makes him a lot more effective. It's not really about the utility, about saving the slot.
Worst target to go on, or find, I should say. I mean, they definitely wanted to capitalize, but he actually Dark Rifts out. You look at Morphling, he did use the Morph to take over Underlord, but it still wasn't enough to get the kill there.
Freaking hero. Dark Rift, man. There needs to be...
There's a couple of annoying heroes in this game. They have an annoying hero on the Radiant. They got Dark Rift, so I think it's fair.
Yeah, but it's like, I think Dark Will is pretty balanced because,
Dangerous state.
Dire's bottom
Well-
tower has fallen.
if she was broken, her win rate would be much higher, right? She has a lot of weaknesses, and people will learn how to play against her the more that they see it. Like, obviously you don't clump. You need to treat it as if it's kind of similar to Black Hole in terms of it's going to disable you for quite a long time. You don't want to be together. Like Cursed Crown, Rebel Maze, they don't have a lot of utility a lot of times if people group up. And also the Bedlam, like it is broken where it can like burst people down solo, but there are like pretty reasonable counters to it, and BKB especially is an item that you see every game on court.
Here's the problem
It's not that it's
with what you're saying, Fluff, about this is that you're using logic. And your majority of Dota 2 players are instead like to go by the case of Blind Rage, where they have a hero in a game, you know, new hero, she does things that they just don't understand, and they just call it OP, right? So that's what I'm sticking with, Joe. I don't care what you say.
Alright.
You do bring up some valid points. Frost, Shadow Dance away. That was he actually took some heavy damage there against the see that burst. Of course, is fine in the end. TFT really is moving together as a team. They're constantly going from one side of the map to the next. Of course, that makes sense, especially when you have an Underlord.
They're looking for the fight with the Aegis. This would be another situation where the Helmet Dominator is just really broken with the Dark Rift, because they would have superior mobility. I think they're fine just pushing out lanes aggressively here. They have Cheese on Sark, assuming Aegis on Nina. Yep, she's actually going for. She has Hyperstone. You have something else.
MKB.
Okay, so she's going for MKB. Alright. Oh, she's really.
Yeah. And she's only 4th, actually, funny enough, overall in the network. She is looking pretty good herself.
I guess the MKB is for the Lifestealer. Lots of mischance here with the Solar Crest and Radiance. Her Lena's actually quite good. She does have the MKB into him, because Lifestealer has a hard time closing the gap, especially with BKB, Yules. Hurricane Pike, it's very easy for her to lay into him. You can actually bring him down if she gets enough stuns on him.
Oh, bottom lane, that Centaur, that's an Earth Splitter. Do the damage. That does so much damage, man. Especially against these tanky targets like the Centaur, but after the fact, he's still tanky. However, he will go down. The Terrorite's not in time. Over here, what's happening? Got a BKB activated from Frost. The Walrus Punch in the air. Nisha gonna finish him off. Actually takes over Slark. He has him to work with. Clever play you can make. That pounds the Dark Pact etc. going to Jonas. No, Chris Crown. Actually going to be purged off by Hanskin. Nisha going for the upfront person area, but no, it's going to be at a cost of Nisha's life. That was just a better reaction from Era. He's playing so well this game on that Lena.
He really is, actually. This is one of the better performances I've seen from him. Because usually he takes more of like a solid route. Like he doesn't really shine too much, but this game clutching Nisha really hard. Not something you see every day.
Hey, he's fine. Is that a false promise? Yeah.
Yeah, this is the meta now. You have these absurdly tanky heroes. They don't die. They buy space for your team and throw the Oracle on top, which I think is another reason why you're going to see this hero more. Is just so hard to fight into a team if they position correctly. You know, Thunderbolts up in front. Too much space to create.
Yeah, that tanky target. Front lines, the Rage is wearing off there for Lifestealer, so doesn't want to stick around too long. Got double Pit of Malice thanks to Morphling. He's like, alright, fine, I'm the Underlord now. Granted, he doesn't have the arguably best ability. But Firestorm spam, pretty good for counter push. So yeah, it's really a nice solid defense here for Kinguin, and it kind of makes you question what Nisha was doing out. It's a hindsight thing to say, sure, but it seems like that they could hold at their base. Bit there. Overextending on Morphling's part, cost him a buyback in the end. Got it though. That MKB's just about finished on lane. In fact, he has enough gold for it. Buyback. It has the Aegis, although that is going to be wearing off. So, what, you think another Roshan is in the works for TFT? Probably going to wait for a third one before they really try to break through.
I think they're going to try to use this Aegis if possible, or at least they're gonna push out really aggressively in the map and hopefully like get a fight out of that. But yeah, the next Roshan will be a really big timing for them. I think they're still happy for Slark to finish one item, but yeah, we see a smoke in lane. They do want to take the fight. Aegis does run out right now. Not too big of a deal. I think Lina has been fairly consistent at dealing DPS. It was more of a thing for the high ground because Lina's the engine for them to actually take the tier 3. He sits there and sieges. The Slark can't really run uphill, so they wanted to have a bit more safety on him. Now that it's worn out, I think they don't go for high ground push anymore. Definitely will need the Aegis on the Lina to actually attempt that again.
Again, TFT hunting for a kill, but top lane, Cathor is cutting the creep wave. Being an annoying support with that Bedlam and the Villa Discord. Too far away, so TFT can't currently. They're going to farm out what they can here, but the cores of the Radiant side are kind of stuck in their base for the time. Say that and all that. Lifestealer and Morphling are pretty choked out in their base right now, although at the same time, Lifestealer is actually still topping the network. Already has a fire now. Got the AC good up, and they are going to make a smoke play on the Radiant side. And currently looking at the mini map, there's not the most options. Titans even. I don't think that's gonna.
Dire are scanning.
This is like the saddest Morphling I've ever seen, and I feel like you would have to know that Morphling solo into Lina really rough, no matter how good you are. Nisha is incredibly, but if you're sitting on 300 HP, it's so easy for you to go down for any little mistake. Generally, Morphling would, like, if Morphling had a bit of a better game, I feel like had such a massive impact on this game. Quite the right setting for that. Slark is, I feel like the Slark is still struggling to have a massive impact on the fight in terms of the threat. Like, you saw the Morphling could burst him down to about 1/5 HP in one go. Damage is not all too scary. All Lina right now.
See, that's a point out, especially with the sieging. She's the one doing that, and you see right here the top lane just sitting there spamming fireballs at the tower. So Shard block is not going to really scare too much. At that Force Staff gets away bottom lane. Katsor, he again and will TP back to base. So it does get a response out of the final track. Again, TFT, it's pretty clear at this point. Going to be waiting for another Roshan, that third Roshan, which does mean Refresher Shard, obviously. Top of the cheese at Aegis. Waiting game here. Top lane, oh, they're moving out.
I like this TP. Slark TP's top shrine is ready to go because he knows they will pursue being that he was bottom.
Centaur, though, not the easiest. Underlord also not the easiest. They go back on him. First coming out, Morphling, no, he's broken currently. He's going to take over Underlord and actually goes back to his regular form. Splitter not going to really connect with anybody. Lina in the distance. Exotic Gear's running her down as well as Patos. We got a split fight taking place that LSA will land on Centaur. Nobody dead throughout this so far. Slark in pursuit of that would be Morphling. He gets caught by a Pit of Malice and he is going to fall shortly after. Centaur and Lifestealer cannot get back in time. They also miss the Dark Willow. However, not Elder Titan. He's taking damage. There's a false promise coming up very late, but not even necessary until now. The well played again by Hanskin. The Echo Stomp connects on a Lifestealer. He's still such a tough target to deal with, even though he's kind of by himself currently. And they actually get the skill rage in 1 more second. No, he cannot get away. Exotic Deer goes down. Arrow with a snipe of the Laguna Blade. And no buyback, by the way, in Morphling. They have one of Lifestealer, but that means only 3 heroes against the 5 of PFT.
I think this is 2 sets of Rex. It's really hard for Lifestealer to fight into this. 20 seconds. Lina does so much damage. Do they have any creep wave actually coming in? So maybe just 1 and maybe a tower instead of Rex in a tower now. But once they see Morphling doesn't buy back, they will be happy to take it.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen.
Range right there as well, but Slark already going towards the middle. You see Lifestealer, he's kind of, well, I guess he's inside Patos right now. They're keeping their distance. Yeah, the Astral Spirit's scouting it out. That's grab. It's going to be going off right there. Frosto holding his ground against the Centaur. Centaur ends up falling. Man, with that shadow dance, Slark really is freaking annoying to deal with. Break effect up on a Lifestealer. It's going to be snowballed. Safe for now. Centaur does fight back, so right now they have 4 heroes up. Don't know Morphling though. Another 15 seconds. Starcraft active. He's gonna get them the hell on out of here after the melee rack. Slark is like, I'm going my own way. They catch Hanskin, so you know, considering what they got out of it, I think Hanskin's this.
The fight at the secret shop of the top lane was like the Oracle had free reign. No one was pressuring him in the fights. I think that's a massive mistake because while it did look like they were having a fight, as long as the false promise is there, it was very, very difficult in the end. Like there was no way they were actually going to win the fight if they don't go for Oracle.
Desperate play here from Kinguin. Going for Roshan. They know they kind of need to try to make some kind of play, and they actually might get it. Yoda though in here. It's a Turian there we go. The stomp hits. They got the Aegis. Is anything else? Refresher card picked up by Morphling. Frosty jumps in. He's going for some kills. A false promise on it. No, never mind. Did not come out. I thought it was for a second. Anyways, Yoda the Lotus Storm on top of him. Snowball through, catches on Slark. Yoda still going at it with Exotics here in the pit. They get the kill to center for the dieback. Nisha going toe-to-toe with Frost, and right now it's really nobody winning that fight. They both back off. Exotics here. He's just running around like a chicken with his head cut off right now in the Roshan pit. Not much life to work with. He has an Aegis, but the Kill Dark Will, and now Exotics here. He's gonna get the hell out of here. He actually pops his rage. He's looking to man up with that Aegis. False promise comes out on a Slark though, and he turns for the kill onto Elisa. They're gonna take on Morphling with no buyback. GG's are just called. That'll do it officially. Game 1 going the way on TFT, so the pressure's on for Kinguin now. If they don't win this next game, it will be TFT. Pantheon as they remain.
GG. It looked like it all really came down to the laning stage. TFT had a really good lane setup.